You see, I remember when shonen anime used to be at least 100 episodes, like at least. We had like shows that would have episode 1 to episode 100. Everybody was enjoying the story. Everybody could pick up and just start from the beginning. We all know what season 1 was. We all know where to start from. But as time went on, we see that is no longer the case with shonen anime. Now, shonen anime are a lot more faster. They are a lot more direct. The stories have been cut down. Individual pacing has been ignored, and they focus more on the overall theme of the story, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but at the same time, it has actually been one of the reasons why people don't normally enjoy shonen anime like that anymore. And I was able to do a little bit of research, and I'm able to make at least 3 reasons as to why shonen anime are no longer long anymore. And my first reason for this is audience retention. Whether we like it or not, the younger generations are not going to have the same retention as the older generations. With things that are coming out these days like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and all the fast-pacing things that are going on in the world right now, overstimulation has become a thing. If your show cannot be picked up in the first 3 episodes, you find out that a lot of people tend to drop the shows most of the time. So I feel like studios and a lot of companies decided to focus more in that area of trying to grab the attention of the audience as quick as possible. So a lot of times where the first episodes would have been used to, flesh out a lot of the characters, explore the world even more, they tend to narrow it down and focus on the main core of the story, focusing on what is driving the story forward, focusing on the main characters, focusing on other things that will push the story as quick as possible. And we have come to see this in recent animes like Jujutsu Kaisen, in Chainsaw Man, My Hero Academia. The story is just straight into it, no fluffiness, no extra fat on the side, just purely straight into the story, no deviation whatsoever. We no longer get all those many filler episodes that used to be like a thing back in the day. Now they have been reduced, they have been cut down, and majorly all of them have been made to be immediate. You no longer have all these like excesses anymore. They are cut down and they focus more on the core story. Another reason for this is also because of the animation budget. Whether we like it or not, to make animation now is quite expensive. If you ask the team of Mappa how they are making each episode of JJK a banger, by the time you hear the animation budget, you will understand why it has become so expensive. The amount of staff that they have to hire, the amount of direction that they have to storyboard, how they have to make everything play out to be as appealing as possible tends to be a lot, tends to cost a lot, and hence they no longer make the shows longer than they need to be. And like I said earlier, when you focus more on the story, you do not have a lot of time to touch on other characters as well, because your budget cannot allow it. So most of the time, arcs that would have been explored in the manga are not touched in the anime at all. Sometimes they are skipped over, sometimes they are just like summarized to like 2-3 episodes, and then they move on to the next thing. That is how they started doing it these days. And finally, another reason for this is also because of the story pacing as well from the manga. If you look at most mangas today, you can tell that it's no longer the same way it used to be. Most shonen mangas tend to have like an average of at least, let's say, 500 chapters, but it's very rare for you to see like a recent shonen anime having more than 500 chapters that are consistent. You get that. It just happens that these days they tend to focus on shorter arcs and faster story pacing. They want you to get into the nitty-gritty, they want you to get into the core action of the story, and they tend to focus on that rather than trying to have individual exploration of different characters as well. So yes, it does mean that a lot of the characters in these shows tend to suffer a lot because they are not actually fleshed out and they are seen as like one-dimensional most of the time. But that is the way it goes now. In order for them to keep up with the publication, in order for them to keep up with their deadlines and stuff like that, they tend to reduce the amount of time they have to flesh out each character. Hence why the story pacing of most animes and mangas don't tend to play out the same way.